When you enter into the garden kind of marriage, that's Genesis 1 and 2 kind of marriage, you discover that those do's and don'ts, those monstrous rules, they are broken. They are broken. You see the man humbly helping the wife where he needs to assist her, even in the chores at home, even in the domestic assignment. He is just ready to help her. You see the woman ready to help the man. Ready to help the man without feeling anything. Where the man is lacking financially, she comes in to support. They tell you in your home, tear your eye, yo. In the relationship, tear eye, yo. And you want to tear eye. You really want to tear your eye. If you tear your eye, in the course of tearing your eye, you might lose the presence of God and lose every essence that made that marriage a marriage, or that relationship a godly relationship. The failure of Adam and Eve to subdue the devil led to disaster. So whenever you fail to subdue that lust that Satan wants to use to scatter your relationship or scatter your marriage. So you see some people, God bring a very humble brother to them that is trying to grow financially, and because your friend said you are not going to feel among, tear eye, and then another man that is ungodly is coming and flashing you with a lot of gifts, flashing you with good cars and whatever, and you drop this brother because he's a bro, and you begin to follow. No, don't worry, I'll convert him. You are in for doom. Hello viewers, this is Heart Matters podcast. Let's talk heart matters. In my last video, I did promise that we're going to discuss on the right reasons for getting into this institution called marriage. However, before we delve into that, I want us to quickly look at the ideal state as God designed marriage. What's the ideal state? What's the ideal plan? The ideal plan that God had designing this institution called marriage. And in looking at this ideal purpose or ideal plan, we're going to be looking at the garden marriage. The garden marriage. That is where Adam and Eve enjoyed a relationship characterized by harmony, by peace, and by an unbroken fellowship with God. They had an unbroken fellowship with their Creator. And then we'll also be looking at the marriage in Genesis chapter 3. The marriage when the man was fallen. The marriage that depicts a fallen man. What happened in marriage in Genesis chapter 3 marriage. A marriage that experienced the departure of the Spirit of God, and couples became strangers to each other. They became strangers to themselves. We're going to be looking at this Genesis chapter 3 marriage in the light of our present day marriages, and Genesis 1 and 2 marriage in the light of our present day marriages. So we're going to be delving into a little research into scriptures. So we're going to be looking at one or two scriptures because the Bible is the manual and God is the originator for marriage, and the Bible is the manual for marriage. So we're going to be looking at these scriptures. I want you to just join me in this research. Now, God's standard of marriage is based on the garden qualification. True marriage is not a union of the spirit as much as it is the union of the flesh. It's not the union of the spirit through marriage. True marriage is not the union of the spirit as much as it is the union of the flesh. In the Garden of Eden, this Adam and Eve had no need for a union of their spirit. Why? Because they were all birthed by the same father, birthed by the same process. You know, the Bible speaking in Genesis 1:26. So let's go there. He said, and God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion. So these Adam and Eve were made in the image of God, in the likeness of God. So there was a union of the spirit. There was a union of the spirit in our likeness, and let them have dominion. Let them have dominion. So in the flesh, they were separate people, but in the spirit, they were one. They were one. They were of one spirit. They were from one origin. They were from one father. They were from one ancestry. They were from one creator. Now, this brings me to the point that I want to make, that you cannot just import someone that does not come from the same belief, the same system, the same culture, the same the same lifestyle from another family into your family, and expect the person to begin to align to your principles or your standards. So it's not done. When I say the same lifestyle, the same family, I mean the family of faith. So you're not permitted to go and settle down or go and bring an unbeliever into your life and say, okay, because he is morally okay, even though he does not believe in God, even though he's not in our church, he does not go to church, but he's morally okay. He's even better than a Christian. He's better than all these Christian sisters. She's better than all these Christian sisters. He's better than all these Christian brothers. No. It is, you must have been united in the spirit. And then you're coming together in marriage to be united in the body as well as in the soul. Now, knowledge is critical. I told you in my last video that one of the principles, or one of the basic ingredients for a successful marriage is knowledge. Knowledge about anything or about everything, including marriage, makes you successful, gives you success in that thing. Even spirit-filled believers may fail in marriage when they refuse to apply or go for knowledge. When they refuse to go for knowledge and apply that knowledge. And knowledge of what? Knowledge of the principles of Christ. The principles that will bring about a successful marriage. So no matter how tongue-talking you are, no matter how spirit-filled you are, you will fail in this institution called marriage if you don't go for knowledge. Knowledge on how to raise your children. Knowledge on how to live with your spouse. The Bible is complete, so everything is in the Word. Everything is in the Word. And so the most spirit-filled believers must understand the difference between a garden marriage and outside the garden marriage. What happened in the garden when God brought Eve to Adam? Adam saw Eve and declared, this is bone of my bone and this is flesh of my flesh. Then what happened outside the garden? Before we look at what happened outside the garden, so they enjoyed an unbroken fellowship, and God gave them principles in the garden. God gave them laws, God gave them standards that they must keep. Okay, you can eat all this fruit, you can eat all this tree, but this tree, do not eat of the fruit. Do not touch, do not eat of the fruit of this tree. So, marriage in the garden is not free from standards. And you must understand the principles that will make that marriage successful. By understanding it, by knowing it first, understanding it, and applying it, you will not have headache in your home or in your relationship, so to speak. So let's look at these creatures that God made. That he made man and woman in Genesis 26, and God said, let us make man in our own image and after our likeness, and let them. So God made man and woman after his image and after his likeness, and gave them authority. He gave them authority or dominion over his creatures, the fish of the sea, the fowl of the air, over the cattle, and over the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. He gave them dominion. So this man that was made and this woman that was made were given equal authority. Genesis 1 and 2 marriage, the couples were given equal authority, and these couples were not to exert the authority on each other, but this authority was to be exert over the created things or the creatures of God, like the fish of the sea, the birds of the air. So they had terrestrial authority, they had atmospheric authority, they had authority over the beasts of the field, they had authority even over the earth. So understanding that they were given authority, before even getting into this institution called marriage. The beauty is when you understand that the person you are getting married to is in charge. Ladies, if you understand who you are, you will not fall for what you have been given authority over. You will not become a victim of what you should have dominated or what you should have possessed. When I mean becoming a victim, it's not because of money you begin to go for unbelievers. It's not because of wealth or car. You have authority even before you met that man. You can possess these things with or without a man in your life. You can rise to prominence with or without a man in your life. So don't chicken out, don't give in, don't sell your body because he said, okay, if you sleep with me, I will cause you to pass, or I will give you employment, or I'll promote you. Equal authority was given. So Genesis 1 and 2 help us understand what marriage was meant to be. The authority to rule over the created order and to fill and subdue the earth was given to the man and the woman together, just like I explained. They were given authority and capacity to rule over the physical realm, that's God's lesser creatures, animals, birds of the air, but not over each other. They were not given authority in Genesis chapter 1 and 2 over each other. They were given equal authority. I tell you the truth. When you enter into the garden kind of marriage, that's Genesis 1 and 2 kind of marriage, you discover that those do's and don'ts, those monstrous rules, they are broken. They are broken. You see the man humbly helping the wife where he needs to assist her, even in the chores at home, even in the domestic assignment. He is just ready to help her. You see the woman ready to help the man. Without feeling anything where the man is lacking financially. She comes in to support because they were not given authority over each other. They exert that authority over the realms or the jurisdiction wherein God has given them that authority to exert. Now, Genesis 3 marriage. So let's go to Genesis 3. Genesis 3 marriage made it clear that Satan was present. So what happened in Genesis 3? Follow me if you have your Bible to Genesis 3. Genesis 3 Genesis 3 verse 1. It said, now the serpent was more subtle than the beast of the field which the Lord had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, had God said, ye shall not eat of every tree in the garden? Now, this serpent was in the garden. This serpent was one of the creeping things that God had given Adam and Eve authority over. Follow me carefully. Don't allow the things that God has given you power over to begin to take authority over you because of your lust or because of what somebody is suggesting to you. So the question is, who is talking to you? That body, that emotions that all of a sudden begins to rise when you are with the opposite sex, God has given you authority over it, to put it under. It's your body, for heaven's sake. You should be able to subject it. Put it under. Shut that emotions up. Shut it up. Tell him, I will not do this. I will not sin against my God. So when the serpent began to talk to Eve, sin does not just manifest in one day. It grows. It grows to maturity. Something would have been talking to you over time and is developing, is getting matured in your heart. And one day you find yourself doing what God has instructed that you should not do. You break the principles of God, and the moment that principles is broken, the moment the instruction is disobeyed, the Spirit of God leaves, and the first thing you will discover is that you are naked. You begin to see your nakedness, and you begin to look for what. So a lot of relationships, a lot of marriages we have, the couples are looking for what to use to hide their nakedness. They were ashamed of each other. For the first time, Adam and Eve became ashamed of each other, because they had broken divine principles. And he said, and the woman said unto him, the serpent said unto the serpent, we may eat. So she was talking with something that was she was given authority over. She said, having conversation with what she should subdue, with what she should overpower. She started having communication. And in verse 6, and when the woman saw that the tree was good, so she already saw the tree. She saw the tree, so he only capitalized on her lust. Satan will capitalize on your lust in that relationship. Satan will capitalize on your lust in that marriage. What are you lusting after? Some of you are lusting after wealth. Some of you are lusting after class. Some of you are lusting after material things. And that's why the devil is capitalizing on that lust and bringing people that will respond to that lust. But at the end, it chases the Spirit of God. And when the woman saw the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took the fruit thereof, and she did eat, and gave also to her husband with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of them were both open, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together, and they made themselves apron. So all along they were naked, but they didn't know. They didn't care. Now they started, nakedness became a concern, because they felt that the fruit was one to make one wise. They tell you in your home, tear your eye, oh. In the relationship, tear eye, oh. And you want to tear eye. You really want to tear your eye. If you tear your eye, in the course of tearing your eye, you might lose the presence of God and lose every essence that made that marriage a marriage, or that relationship a godly relationship. And immediately they ate the fruit, they discovered they were naked. The failure of Adam and Eve to subdue the devil led to disaster. So whenever you fail to subdue that lust that Satan wants to use to scatter your relationship or scatter your marriage. So you see some people, God bring a very humble brother to them that is trying to grow financially, and because your friend said you are not going to feel among, tear eye, and then another man that is ungodly is coming and flashing you with a lot of gifts, flashing you with good cars and whatever, and you drop this brother because he's a bro, and you begin to follow. No, don't worry, I'll convert him. You are in for doom. So immediately God came. I wouldn't have all the time to read, and started looking for them. Adam, where are you? Eve, where are you? And the blame game started. It is the man you gave me. It is the woman you gave me. Eve say it is a serpent. Paraphrasing, please. Now you can see that the moment they broke the principle, then God gave the law. God gave a new order that the woman, because of what you have done, your desire shall be of your husband. Immediately, the husband became an authority over the wife. In Genesis 1 and 2, it was not meant to be so. They were to exert equal authority over the created things and not over each other. But the moment the instructions of God, of the principles was broken, one had to begin to exert authority over the other. Are you saying there are no garden marriages? There are. Relationships are in the garden? There are. As long as you are not listening to those voices that want to satisfy your lusts, you will remain in the presence of God. Once your marriage is in the presence of God, you have everything at your beck and call. But once you begin to listen to those things, those voices, those suggestions of drop this one, it's not what it will, tear your eye, guy, shine your eye, church babe, they know they are not hot, they are not romantic. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be romantic. I am only saying that everything should be done within the confines of the principles of the word. Everything should be done within the atmosphere where the Spirit of God is. Because immediately the Spirit of God left, they started giving birth. And one of the child they gave birth to was a murderer, Cain. The seeds you will produce when the Holy Ghost leaves, you will produce a murderous seeds. I urge you this day that you look back and desire a garden kind of marriage. A garden kind of marriage where God brings the wife or brings the husband to you, suggests the wife or suggests the husband to you, and you obey and you see the bone of your bone. You are united in the Spirit. You are united in the Spirit. And then you, over time, as you keep living together without breaking divine order. Divine order of not sleeping with the man in the relationship. So because every other person is sleeping with their boyfriends or their fiancé, you open your leg and you sleep. You break divine order, and I'm telling you, God will chase you and that your boyfriend or fiancé out of his presence, and you begin to go through chaos. I pray for you that you will get back to the garden in your relationship. And the Lord is going to heal every wounded heart or every hurt. We've come to the end of this video. Please like, share, and drop your comment in the comment section. I will see you in my next video. God bless you. Do have a blessed day. Bye.